Welcome to the Level 1 Lounge. Grab your controllers and get ready for our uneducated talks on anything and everything gaming. I'll be your host again this evening. I am Rider Pride 639, and tonight I've got my two lovely co-hosts here with me. We have got Agent Maverick 86 as well as Irish Bandit Rob. So, tonight we are actually going to be starting off with a kind of like a new type of segment that we're going to be introducing here to the podcast. So what we're going to talk about here, we're going to start talking about upcoming games for this month, some major releases that are coming out. So to kind of kick things off here, the first game that's going to be coming out here on May the 8th is going to be V Rising for PC. I know this one was talked about quite a fair bit, but it sounds like a really fun game. The next one that is going to be coming out here on May 21st. This one is a very big one. I know Maverick is super excited for this one here. Senwa's Saga Hellblade 2 for Xbox Series X and S, as well as PC releases. That is coming out on May 21st. So I imagine, are you going to be streaming it as well over on your Twitch channel?
I am, and so it comes out on a Tuesday, I believe, but I'm going to stream it on Saturday and wrap it up on Sunday because it's not expecting to be a very long game. The last game was about 10 to 12 hours, and they said the second one is about the same length. I gotta give props to Chewy for getting me into that game, though. Like, he really pushed me to play that game before. And I was, I'll get to it. And it became on my very long list of backlog games. Played it here a few months ago, streamed the whole game, start to finish, in the 2 days as well for the first game, and freaking loved it. I am very excited for this one. I've got it set up to pre-install here in the next little while. So it's on Game Pass as well, so if anyone's going to be looking at jumping into it and not wanting to pay for it, it's a way to do it.
There we go.
But yeah, I'm very excited for that one.
Nice. Sounds like it. All right, so the next one that we got here, May 23rd. I know there's a lot of Mario fans that are out there, but for the Nintendo Switch, we have the Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door releasing on May 23rd. And again, I know there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be excited about that one. And then the last one on the list, I've been kind of watching it off to the side. I can't remember if Rob has been paying attention to this one at all. But on May 28th, we have Multiversus. And this one is being released on all platforms except for Nintendo. So PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S, as well as a PC release on May 28th. If I recall correctly, this is kind of like basically like a Warner Brothers version of Super Smash Brothers, basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. You want to answer you want to see if you can have Shaggy beat the crap out of Superman.
Yeah.
This is a game for you to find out.
I mean, if it's classic cartoon Shaggy, not so much. If it's Matthew Lillard, yeah, he's got Superman's number.
Shaggy is actually the best character in that game. I haven't had the chance to play it myself. It was with a free-to-play model last year.
Yeah, I played it.
But yeah, I don't know if know if they're doing it again or not. I believe they are. I'm not sure. I'll check base on that here for you guys. But yeah, it's another Smash Brother-esque type game.
Yeah.
And I believe the base game is free to play too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I'll check into real quick here for us as well. But I am not sure if it is free to play this time or
I want to say they said if you had the game originally before it went dark before the end of last year, you'd still have it if you didn't delete it off your hard drive. I don't know. Okay. I could be talking crap.
We might have an educational update, but I believe it's free to play.
Yeah.
So
and then there's like paid DLC packs, like paid character packs that you can get.
You can play some money somewhere. Yeah, they got to make their money somewhere, right? So that's where they're going to do it is DLCs.
I mean, I think they did the exact same thing with Final Fantasy Dissidia NT as well, where the base game is free to play, and then they have like all these various DLC characters that you could get into, but you had to pay for the packages to unlock them.
And
I
Final Fantasy
believe there's a
doesn't-
way to unlock them, but it's a long slog to
Yeah.
unlock them. Yeah.
and Ever Crisis is pretty much the same way. You get the base game for free, but then you can buy different stuff. You can buy like tickets for draws and get new outfits for the characters and new weapons.
Yeah.
That's where they make their money.
I gotta say though, I am very excited for V Rising at some
Yeah.
point because it's going to be coming out on console as well, and the concept behind it of kind of having like a Van Helsing-esque game come out. It's a top down, which I'm not typically a huge fan out of. Like I've played Diablo, but outside of that, that's all I've really played. So this might be one that I'll take on as my own, my own challenge to you guys. That I kind of throw out. I might pick that one up and play that. That's a little bit out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And that being said as well, I found the next game that I'll probably do. I'm going to probably pick up Doki Doki, by the way, there, Rob,
Nice.
and do that as one that's out of my comfort zone for that challenge that I've threw that to you guys too. So,
All right. So those are the upcoming games that are going to be coming up this month here. There's probably a few more, but these are kind of the major ones that we wanted to touch base on. And like I said, this is something that we want to kind of do at least once a month on the podcast here to kind of give everybody an idea of what to look forward to for the upcoming month. So with that being said, let's go ahead. We've finished powering up. Let's go ahead and get into level 1. So we have got news upon news upon news for
Boy, do we
here.
ever.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is going to surround Redfall. So there's a bunch of players that are still waiting for their Redfall DLC, that they spent $100 or so on. Redfall was positioned to be the next big release from popular developer Arcane Studios. They were promising some new characters, some new weapons and things like that. But more recently as well, Microsoft has actually closed the Redfall developer Arcane Austin. Hi-Fi Rush's developer Tango Gameworks was also closed. And there's a few more in some devastating cuts at Bethesda Studios as well. And I'll read you guys a snippet here of the announcement. So it was when they released it, I can't remember exactly when it was, but when they released it, here's their statement. It says, "Today it was announced that Arcane Austin will close and development will not continue on Redfall. To everyone that has supported the work from our Austin studio over the years, thank you. Thank you for spending the time in our worlds and making them your own. Arcane Lion will continue their focus on immersive experiences where they are hard at work on their upcoming project. Redfall players who purchased the Hero Pass as part of the Premium Bite Back Edition or the Premium Bite Back Upgrade will be eligible to receive the value of the upgrade. While there will be no further updates, Redfall servers will remain online for players to enjoy." Sorry, who's...
I was going to say it's kind of ironic that they're saying the servers are still going to remain active for players to enjoy, because the real question is, who's really enjoying these games anymore? Because there isn't many players actually playing Redfall anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
my first
yeah.
thought was, how long are the servers going to remain active?
Probably not too long. Eventually, eventually the player count will drop. This is just the base game that's released. Like, they didn't even get to the DLCs, as far as I know. So the content is only going to carry players so far, and eventually they're just going to leave and find something else. And eventually, once those player numbers dip below a certain level, they'll just flip the switch and say, "Adios."
But that's the problem. Like, the game didn't sell, and Microsoft promised it was going to be one of the biggest releases last year, and it
was pretty
was terrible.
it was very, very hyped. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I still remember, I was really excited for it, and I was very excited to jump in with a couple friends to be able to play it. And then the more I seen it, and then they did a showcase directly on it, and I just sat back going, "Oh no, this is not good." And I could see which direction it was going to go, and I figured I'm not even going to bother touching this. I know Monster played it. He enjoyed it. He thought the gunplay was good, but really there really wasn't much else in regards to that. I haven't touched it. It didn't sell well, and that's part of the reason why Arcane's needing to make that decision.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Rob, any thoughts from you?
Just a shame to see, but I'm glad to hear that the players who put money into it are getting their money back.
At least,
They're
yeah,
getting-
at least for the DLC portion of it.
They could have just been, nope, we're taking our money, bye. But they
And that's
weren't.
happened before. I've seen it
Oh,
happen
yeah, it has
before.
happened. Yeah.
But I do have to say that there has been an outcry of fans being ticked off with Microsoft for closing these studios.
Oh,
And because Microsoft has a surplus of money, they spent money on these other game developers. And I still have faith that Xbox has something up their sleeves that we don't know yet. And it was one of the reasons why I picked up an Xbox when I did, because I felt like the Xbox. I've got a feeling it's going to surprise some people. But in this case, they have to look at a business decision. And really, the people that are crying about this, who bought these games, who bought Hi-Fi Rush, who bought Redfall.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it's the community saying, "Oh, you guys have all this money." They're still a business. They still need, the reason why they have that money is because they have to make tough choices like this.
Yeah.
It sucks, and I know we've talked about layoffs and stuff before, but a lot of these people are being reallocated to different projects, and
Yeah,
it's not
and
like they're going to
that's-
be out of work in this case.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to lead into my next point here. So the Arcane Austin studios are closing, although some members across the team, some members of the team, sorry, are going to be joining other studios to work on projects across Bethesda entirely. Alpha Dog Studios, they said this one is also closing. This one is responsible for bringing Doom to new players. So Mighty Doom will be sunset on August 7th. And they will be turning off the ability for players to make any purchases in the game. So turning off the microtransactions, saying, okay, we're not going to support the store anymore. That's also a good thing too. I mean, I guess more of a, I don't know if you want to consider it an honorable thing to do, I guess. Turning off a cash flow source, I guess, but probably in the long run of things, it's probably better so that way they don't have to deal with any issues that might come up as a result of the store. So we'll see what happens there. Tango Gameworks, as we mentioned before, they're closing. Hi-Fi Rush will continue to be available to players on the platforms that it's currently on now. The team at Roundhouse Games is also going to be folding into ZeniMax Online Studios. Roundhouse has played a key role in many of our recent game launches, and bringing them into ZeniMax to work on the Elder Scrolls Online will mean we can do even more to grow the world that millions of players call home. For those of you who don't know, Elder Scrolls Online, one of the more popular MMOs that's currently out there right now. It's right up there with Final Fantasy and World of Warcraft. I have played it in the past. It was actually kind of fun. Usually during some of their free weekends, I'll usually jump on and kind of do some stuff on there. It's not bad, actually. It plays pretty well for an MMO.
The only thing that I have an issue with the Elder Scrolls series, it's not that I have an issue with the lore or anything like that. It's a world that I've really wanted to be a part of. I have an issue with the first-person sword use. That's my problem. I realize that you can switch to third-person view, but for me it just feels clunky at times for third person. But if they're going to continue work on this, and I think this is a great move. So I am very excited to see what they come up with. And I mean, maybe another Elder Scrolls, 7 or 8 or whatever they're on.
They still got to
as a
get 6 on
standalone-
the go here.
Sorry. Thank you. 6. Hey, look at that educational patch right there.
Yeah,
But
they have
6
announced it. There's nothing about it right now. I think they announced it like, I want to say 2 years ago, and there's been nothing since. So
Skyrim.
Who knows where? Skyrim was number 5.
Thought so.
Yeah, which has been
Well,
re-released like 25 times.
Yeah.
Which now you can play on your Samsung fridge or your Kenmore toaster or whatever it is that you got at home.
Kenmore. You're dating yourself, pal.
on
All
your
right, up.
speaker. All the cheese.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Shout out to Wes Johnson, by the way. All right, on to the next article here. So, Xbox's upcoming Perfect Dark reboot is reportedly facing challenges and is in a very, very rough state. The fallout from this is I've been hearing more and more that Perfect Dark is in a rough state. Sounds like it's in a very rough state. It doesn't sound like it's really come together in any way. Video game historian Liam Robertson said, "From what little I've heard about the development of the new Perfect Dark, it sounds like a future video in the making, just a big, protracted mess." It's been, I can't remember if that's a related point to this, but it's been reported since March 22.
I did that in.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it has been reported since March 22, March 2022, I should say, that the Xbox studio has seen a massive wave of senior developers leave. So yeah, that's really disappointing to me because I loved Perfect Dark on N64. That was a fantastic game.
I've been really looking forward to this remake, but I don't know if it's time to panic yet because we haven't seen much on it. You know,
Looks like Elder Scrolls 6.
Yeah, and so I'm optimistic about this game still, but I think we're still in the stages of it's too early to tell. I've been hearing that it's not going to be out for another 2 to 3 years anyways.
Yeah.
There's a lot of time left for it to cook. The part that concerns me with this article is the senior members leaving. Because think about what happened with the last Duke Nukem game, how that was handled from developer to developer to developer. It spent 15 years in development hell, and it came out and was just dog crap.
Yeah, that game was absolute garbage, which is really unfortunate because they done did Duke dirty. Try saying that 20 times fast.
Wow.
Did you ever play Perfect Dark?
I don't think so. But I know from what I understand, it was just a lot better version of GoldenEye.
Pretty much. Yeah, it was like a futuristic version of GoldenEye. And if I remember correctly, you had to have a specific expansion pack inserted into your N64 in order to play it. I think because of the graphics. So it needed like a memory expansion of some sort. But yeah, like I said,
right.
Yeah, no, like I said, it was an absolutely fantastic game. I still go back and I watch speed runs and long plays of it every so often just to kind of get that nostalgia bite to it. All right, so over to the next article that we've got here. So Sony requires the Helldivers 2 PlayStation accounts to be linked. As a result of this, Helldivers was review bombed by over 100,000 negative reviews, which has actually caused Sony to backtrack the decision and release the following statement. Helldiver fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and for current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on future plans. So, this was a huge talking point, probably for about the last week and a half. I speak from a spot of, I don't know what I want to call it, complacency maybe, because I'd already linked it, so it didn't bother me none. And I was I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, when I first heard the news, I'm like, what's the big deal? You can get a PlayStation account for free. Just go make an account and link it. What's the problem? Then I saw the list of countries that you can't make PlayStation accounts, and I'm like, oh, holy crap.
There's more to it than that, too. This is also Sony trying to pad their numbers for their subscriber lists.
Yeah.
Is the way that it was viewed. For me, Ryder, I'm right there with you. In this case, I play on my PlayStation 5. I don't play it on PC. I don't have a PC that would support it. So I've got the account. I know Irish Bandit's going to have a bit to say to this now that he's joined the fray.
I've got a little to say about this.
I'd really like to hear what he's got to say about this one.
Democracy. So yeah, Mav gifted me a copy of Helldivers 2 earlier in the week. you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
So after I finished installing it, I went and I made myself a PSN account, only to find out that they removed that they're not doing that anymore. So what the?
At least it didn't cost you anything to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't want to make another account for something. Like I have so many accounts right now as it is, but I didn't want to make another account for something. But
There could be a future benefit to this if we're
I could
thinking
be.
that we did discuss this on one of our previous podcasts. Similar to how Xbox Game Pass is available on PC, there may be something PlayStation related later on down the road where they do the same thing for PC. You're going to need the PSN account anyways. You're ahead of the game.
I'm ahead of the game, so there's a positive there.
Yeah.
But I know, just quickly, after playing what we played the other night on Helldivers 2, that's so much fun. I think the more I play it, the more I think that's going to be one of my nominees for Game of the Year. But we'll see. I'm only
Yeah,
3 hours
absolutely.
in. I got to play a little more.
As I said, it's going to hands down, I think, going to be best community support game for sure
Oh,
this year.
absolutely.
The community.
I hope so,
I've
especially
got
after
it-
this debacle.
Oh, and I mean okay. In that case, I feel that the fans bullied Sony a little bit.
They did.
Not saying it's
But-
not called for. I'm just saying that they did it.
Yeah.
One of the times where bullying worked.
But if you've ever gone in, I don't know if either of you have gone into just a match, just solo, and meeting up with randoms or playing with randoms yet.
Not yet.
It's
have,
not
yeah.
a bad experience. I haven't had a situation where like this guy's a complete jerk. Like it's happened to me once, where I was working on a terminal and somebody decided to shoot me because they wanted to use it, or I got too close to the main objective and I got booted. But I mean, at the same time, that's happened twice out of dozens and dozens and dozens of missions that I've ran with randoms, just because hey, I've got 40 minutes to kill. I'll jump in for a quick mission here and earn a few extra war bonds, and then or I've got a couple hours, and if I like the crew, then I'll stick with them for a while.
Yeah.
So
I mean, every
best
multiplayer
community I've been a
game.
part of.
Yeah, every multiplayer game is always going to have its trolls and griefers.
Oh, yeah.
No, it doesn't matter where you go, but yeah, I like the fact that Helldivers, they are very, very much few and far between.
Absolutely.
All right, on to our next
That makes my
article.
experience a lot better.
Oh yeah, for sure. So next article. Square Enix has seemingly canceled some games in an effort to be more selective and focused. This news comes from a release related to Square Enix's holdings, which explains the company is incurring losses of about 22.1 billion yen, or roughly $140 million US, on its financial books for the fiscal year that ended back in March. So this quote from the article: at the meeting convened on March 27, 2024, the board of directors of Square Enix Holdings voted, in light of the myriad changes underway in the environment surrounding its group, to revise the group's approach to the development of high-definition games with the intention of being more selective and focused in the allocation of development resources. That's a lot of word salad in that one.
Mm-hmm.
The release reads, as a result of a close examination, the company expects to recognize approximately 22.1 billion yen in content abandonment losses on its books for the fiscal year that ended March 2024. So while potentially canceled games might sound like a little bit of doom and gloom, it does sound more like Square Enix is sharpening its developmental focus to ensure that the games it releases are hits or at the very least financially successful for the company. Nonetheless, it does sound like $140 million worth of games in development have been canceled, and chances are pretty good it's we're not going to find out what they were at any point. So, thoughts on Square Enix's losses?
I think they're going to start focusing more on games like Tomb Raider and focus more on games like Final Fantasy. Go back to their bread and butter.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, and I know there's a new Dragon Quest that's in development as well. They are continuing on using the late Akira Toriyama's artworks that have already been selected for it. There's no working name for it. There's no project name for it. It's kind of a more or less. So we've got the resources here. We've got the allocations for it. That's about as far as I know, at least.
The thing is, I've talked about this before. Square has the issue of going, oh well, we're going to sell 300 million copies, and then they sell 250 million, and then they're throwing their hands up in the air and stomping their feet that, oh, it didn't do as well as we wanted to. It's not that these games aren't hits. And they do need to take a look at releasing these games on different consoles. We've said this
Yes.
over and over and over and over again. With Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we know that there's a contract with Sony, but maybe there's still something that they can do about bringing 16 over to Xbox. Get these games onto different consoles, and that will help them out. If they're going to take their extra time and develop games that they know are going to sell, and stop making games like Forspoken. Like, that's going to be a pain point for me for a while. I hated that game, but it was crap. They make games like Forspoken and then turn around and make games like Final Fantasy VII Remake and Rebirth and 16. Games that are phenomenal, but they have too high expectations for what they're going to sell.
Yeah. Almost seems like there's no middle ground for Square Enix. It's either extremely good or extremely bad. there's nothing in between. Which I don't know if I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, really. But I mean,
you want your games to be extremely good, but it's very rare for Square to fall right in the middle.
But even the games that they did that didn't sell well, like I will still say, Valkyrie Elysium a few years ago, I picked that game up by Square Enix. I thought this game's going to tie me over until the next Final Fantasy game comes out. Scratch that itch that I have at this point. The story was crap. It was very, very predictable. It was boring, but the combat was beautiful. The world was beautiful. The character design was beautiful. It was an awesome game. Story was garbage. And I will say that it was still worth playing. I was still happy I picked it up. I know that Ryder, that it'd be right up your alley to try.
Yeah.
But that one didn't perform as well as they wanted either.
I think the same with 16 as well. It didn't perform as well as they wanted it to.
16 only came out on the PS5.
Yeah.
That's the issue that they had there. Like, there's not enough PlayStation 5s out there. That's the problem.
I think once Rebirth makes it to PC, that's when you're going to start seeing more the sales increase. I think. I could be wrong though.
I mean, I think once it hits PC, it'll kind of backfill those last little chunk of numbers that they wanted to hit. But obviously, when they're reporting the numbers now, because it's not released on PC right now, those numbers aren't there. They have to report them as losses, type of thing. But
let's be honest. The reason that these games are exclusives on Sony's platforms is because Sony paid for it.
Well,
exactly. So it's not like they didn't walk away with a bunch of money. It's not that they're going to be in any danger of closing their studio down. Mm-hmm. It's just the allocation of where funds came from is different.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I think another big thing is that when you think of PlayStation, when you think of Sony, you think of Final Fantasy VII, because it did originally come out on the PlayStation in 1997. So for Sony to have Remake and Rebirth, it's like, okay, that's just a perfect merger right there.
Yeah. Sure. But then you have 16.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, all the mainline Final Fantasy games should not be console exclusives.
No.
As far as I'm concerned.
Totally agree with you on that.
They need to be on everything. And if they're talking about, oh, well, we're losing money, just release it on everything. Sony paid for 7, fine, let them have it. Give them maybe a window. You know what? You're going to pay X amount of dollars. How about we'll drop it by X amount of dollars and we'll let us release it on different consoles. We need to make that extra money.
Yeah.
Take a little bit of a cut to make more sales.
That exclusivity runs out this month.
That's true.
Maybe.
That's right. Yeah, this window was a lot shorter than Remakes was.
Yep.
So I wonder if
maybe we see an announcement next week if they do have a state of play, and and Final Fantasy 16 maybe makes its way to PC at least, anyways, and maybe they make an announcement for Rebirth on PC as well.
Actually,
Rebirth
I wouldn't be
PC,
surprised.
I don't think Rebirth will come out on PC until maybe next year. I don't. I'm more along lines thinking that Rebirth might come out on PS4 first, but that's
It's too big of a game. It's too demanding for it to be on PS4.
Yeah, I think the new technology on it, yeah, it's not going to be backwards compatible enough.
No, you won't see that. I'll place you a bet. I'll bet you a beer that it's on PC by the end of the year.
okay.
I do think they'll announce something at the next big showcase for it, for
Absolutely.
whatever it happens to be. Not the PlayStation state of play, obviously, but yeah, no, I feel like they'll probably announce both. Honestly, 16 and 7, both of them will be able to come out on either Xbox or PC or both, depending on.
Yeah, I think an announcement like that for 16 and 7 Rebirth to come out on PC. That's going to be for Summer Games Fest. That wouldn't be for State of Play.
I think they might do it at a State of Play because it's their baby. I got a feeling it might be announced next week.
Guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, stay tuned and make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're going to be reacting to those State of Play showcases.
I would say keep an eye on our socials, and we will make an announcement once we know details for sure, because it's just rumored at this point. But
yeah,
yes, I would love to do a reaction with you guys.
Yes, make sure you follow us on the socials as well. Okay. With that being said, we are going to move on to the next article here. Next article we're going to be talking about is Alan Wake 2, which apparently is actually still struggling to make back its budget. So even though Alan Wake 2 hasn't generated any profits for Remedy, the company has had a 56.2 revenue increase over 2023 Q1, which is a sum of just under about 4 million euros. The increase in profits has allowed the developer to plan more frequent games in both the Alan Wake and Control franchises. This could also be affected by Tencent increasing its investment into Remedy by an additional 10%. So, what do we think about that? Now, I'm not much into the whole Alan Wake thing. I know Chewy was for sure, especially Control.
Monster loves Alan Wake 2. He would not shut up about it when he started playing it. So the thing is that it's always sad when a game that's, it was nominated for Game of the Year last year.
Yeah.
Is struggling, and it just gives you a little bit of an idea of able to gauge what the market's like in this case. And it's just a shame that some of these developers are needing to look at getting their investment, their money, their finances from somewhere else rather than sales. This is kind of heartbreaking to hear that they're struggling so much. I really, really hope that things turn around. I did think I read a quote that they're saying that they're still in control, which I think might also allude to the next Control game that's going to be coming out soon. There's even talk that there might be doing an MMO type Control game as well. I haven't heard anything about that for sure. It's been kind of rumored, but either way, they have a lot up their sleeves with this. I think the biggest thing is that Alan Wake 2, there was such a long gap between development between Alan Wake 1 and Alan Wake 2 that a lot of fans are kind of feeling like, I got to play the first one to understand it. And it's not just Alan Wake 1 that you have to play, it's also Control in there too to really understand the world that you're getting involved with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big commitment for people to get into. So maybe doing kind of a spin-off and moving away from Alan is maybe the idea that they should do, or I hate to say it, but maybe reboot the franchise.
Yeah, that's entirely possible too. I was right, Rob. I know you and I actually neither one of us were really kind of into this particular series.
I really have no opinion either way. It sucks it's not making its money back. That's all I can really That's all I can really say about it. When a game that because I know it's good. I've heard it's good. Like it nominated for Game of the Year, of course.
Yeah.
But when you're hearing that a game that is so critically acclaimed not making any money, that's
Yeah, I find that hard to kind of
not
hard to
good.
swallow too, especially
Not
for
bad
and
sign of the
again,
time.
well, yeah, and again, like when we were reacting to, I think it was one of the showcases. I think this might have been before we started doing the
Yeah.
podcast and whatnot. But I remember reacting to the showcase, and yeah, like I said, even though it's not quite my cup of tea for a game, I remember seeing the release of Alan Wake 2, and it looked good. Like it was like the graphics were fantastic; they were so realistic. Mocap technology has come a long, long way, and it really goes to
Oh,
show. Like you can see it in games like Alan Wake and Call of Duty and things like that. Um, and I know there was a lot of people that like there's a very, very specific community for it, and I wonder if maybe that's what's kind of holding it back ever so slightly, is that the community might just be a little too niche for this type of market. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but unfortunately, it's reflecting in the numbers.
mm.
With that being said, though, we can move on to our next piece of news, which is more of a rumor. But get ready for this one, guys. You know, you Resident Evil fans that are out there. So the rumor, Resident Evil 9 reveal is imminent, aiming for possibly a January 2025 release. So THQ, that's THQ Nordic is a whole
That's the
different thing.
next.
That's
That's
the next one.
Yeah.
Ignore that. Sorry.
We'll get
Resident
to
Evil
that.
9.
Yeah.
What is Resident Evil 9? Capcom?
Capcom. Yep.
Yeah.
Capcom. Yeah. I've talked about my love for 7 and 8, and the way that 8 ended, I'm very, very curious on how they're going to do it. Ever since the DLC that came out, so I'm going to talk a little bit about 7 and 8. And I'm going to give spoilers, but because let's face it, it's been out long enough.
Game's out been long enough,
We can
too damn
discuss it.
bad.
Yeah. So the thing that I really liked was in 8, you find out that actually Ethan died at the beginning of 7. And that was the thing that really got my attention with this game. He shows up looking for his wife, and then he gets captured by the Bakers and gets killed, gets murdered. And then they end up infecting his body with moss, and he comes back to life. So he's basically just mold, is what it ends up being, which is why when his hands come off, he's just able to put it on and throw some alcohol on it and move on and continue with his day. And the mutilation with his hands drive me crazy, because every single part in the game, there's something that happens with his hands. He gets stabbed and ripped apart or something, and it's always his damn hands.
I remember that from some of the Let's Plays that I saw.
Wasn't there also there was a cutscene with Lady Dimitrescu when she took a bite into his hand, and then she kind of made a really, really sour face.
Yeah. So that was kind of alluded to the moss. And the thing is, what happened was when he got out with his wife, his wife got pregnant with Rose. But Rose is part of this moss and human, which has given her some weird abilities. And in 8, the premise of the game, and this is the part that's really twisted, is Rose is kidnapped and ripped apart. Her arms are put into a flask. Her legs are put into a flask. Her torso is put into a flask, and like her head's put into a flask. So your job as Ethan is to find all of the parts of Rose and reassemble her. And she comes back.
Lord.
It's weird, but in the DLC, you play as like a 15 or 16-year-old Rose who's trying to give her abilities away, and she's working with Chris Redfield and so I don't know what's going to end up happening, if it's going to follow Rose or if they're going to bring Chris back into the series a little bit. And I got to say, either decision that they make with it, I'm very excited for this game.
It almost sounds like Tim Burton and M. Night Shyamalan and Stephen King all kind of got together and say, "How can we make this in the most screwed up way possible?"
Now it would be a movie to watch.
7 scared the crap out of me. 8 creeped me out. It wasn't scary; it was creepy, and that sounds one of the reasons why I actually preferred 8 over 7, is because I'm expecting the creepy when I play 7. I know what's coming. I know there's a jump scare coming. I've been through it multiple times. I still jump. Still scares the crap out of me.
And then 8, then you have to run away from big giant crawling demon baby.
Oh, my other half still walks around the house going,
Oh
It's
god.
scared, and it's just like I'll hear it from the corner of the house. What is going on? And she does that all the time just to creep me out.
It's make you want to dive through plate glass.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So enough of the creep show, I guess. Let's go ahead and move on to the next article here. So, THQ Nordic. Okay, now we're actually talking about THQ. THQ Nordic has announced a digital showcase and teases announcements. So they have confirmed that its annual digital showcase will take place on August 2nd, 2024, and has already teased some of the games that will be part of its lineup. Among some of the confirmed games are a Gothic remake. I know a lot of people that are going to be excited for that one. Titan Quest 2, again, I know a lot of people that are going to be excited for that one too. 2 games that made an appearance at THQ Nordic's 2023 digital showcase but still don't have a set release date yet. The publisher also promises some surprises at the event. So THQ Nordic, which is a subsidiary of Embracer Group, a holding company that has acquired numerous studios in recent years, but the holding company was unable to sustain its entire production line in studios, leading to some significant layoffs in the past months. If you've paid attention to any of our previous podcasts, you'll know that this has been part of our discussions for a while now. The most recent developments saw the Embracer Group split into 3 different companies. There was Asmodee, Coffee Stain and Friends, and Middle Earth Enterprises and Friends. So THQ Nordic actually falls under the umbrella of the Coffee Stain and Friends part of that division there. So, THQ statement. Same procedure as last year. Our annual THQ Nordic Digital Showcase returns on August 2nd, 2024. Join us for some new announcements, exciting updates on Gothic 1 Remake, Titan Quest 2, and much more. Hashtag THQ Nordic 2024. So, I know, well, I mean, this is another showcase. Obviously, we're gonna be watching, we're gonna be reacting to it. Like I said, Gothic, Titan Quest, these have been popular games in the past. I know there's going to be a lot of content creators that are going to be super, super excited for these ones here. So I'm curious to see what they're going to bring to the table. What do you guys think?
I've got the same curiosity.
Weren't they the ones that were developing the new Terminator open world MMO? I think that there's one that's coming.
I want to say yes.
Yeah, I want to say yes.
That is my uneducated take
on the web.
But I'm wondering if we're going to see more details about that. No, that's Nacon. So no, that is not THQ. But I mean, RoboCop was great. I haven't played a lot from this developer. I still have yet to finish RoboCop. I know Monster's probably watching this and screaming at his monitor that I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, now that I'm done Stellar Blade, I probably will. But I mean, for me, this isn't that exciting for me yet, but I'm happy to react to it and give my thoughts. I know that they've had a lot of great games be developed, so see what happens in August, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's showcase season, so we got a lot of things to watch, a lot of things to get hyped over. Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what happens when it happens then.
Exactly.
So on to the next article. It's a little short one here. So there is supposed to be a new Tomb Raider game coming. It is an open world Tomb Raider game that's supposed to be set in India, according to a new rumor. The rumor comes with claims that the game will feature a big map, which players will be able to traverse around on motorcycle. Parachutes are also mentioned, so that either there will be cliff diving or players will have access to some type of air vehicle. So, to me, this almost sounds like Tomb Raider meets Far Cry, especially when it comes to like the whole open world thing.
They've leaned a lot into it the last 2 games. they're semi-open world. Ryder, you'll understand this analogy a little bit more, but it kind of their map size kind of felt like God of War 2018,
Okay.
where you had sections that you can explore and fast travel to and go back. Um, this series I've really enjoyed, especially since the reboot. So I'm very excited for this. The last I actually replayed Shadow of the Tomb Raider recently. Um, and I had a lot of fun with it. I forgot how good it was, but honestly, the combat in it, the stealth, it's the closest that you currently get to a Rambo game. As weird as that sounds with Tomb Raider, at one like you have the ability to cover yourself with mud and kind of post yourself up against a wall. Somebody walks by, and you just knife them, and then leave the body there, place a trap, run around a corner, and this stealth mechanic for it was a lot of fun. And I know that this game's also being developed or is being developed partly by Amazon Games, which
Okay. Yeah.
kind of concerns me a little bit. Crystal Dynamics, I believe, is still involved, but they're partnering with Amazon for it. Maybe they're just taking Amazon's money to make it better. I'm hoping that's the
Possibly.
case, but
Could be.
yeah, I mean, set in India, there's so much lore and so much that
Mhm.
they can lean on
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely.
I think this is fantastic.
Maybe it's just me, but I think Tomb Raider should have been open world the whole time. But
They did go to that with the new style. If you have a chance to play any of the new
we're on the
ones, I
list.
recommend it. Yeah. Um the and what I it was kind of the only thing that I found was the first one was kind of jarring because you went from her trying to just escape and run away to I'm going to start murdering people. And like her first kill, she gets upset. She's like hyperventilating and like on the verge of puking because she's so worked up. And then she picks up a gun and starts shooting people like there's nothing to it. So it's just this is a little odd, but I mean it was great. There's a supernatural element to these games as well, which kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop. Um, it kind of is the same feel that Uncharted had with actually with 2 and 3. I guess actually 1, 2, and 3. All of them actually kind of had that feel of they did have kind of a supernatural tie to it at near the end. Um, but it just kind of keeps you on your toes, and there's a lot they can do with that lore. And there's references a lot to Indian gods that would be phenomenal to learn about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, that would be an interesting one
Well,
to see when that one comes out. All right, so on to the next article here. So we're going to be talking about Hasbro. Hasbro's $1 billion bet on internal game development. The head of digital product development, Dan Ayub, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, tells us about the toy maker's plans to get back in the game, literally. The company currently has 4 AAA studios right now. So there is Atomic Arcade, which is based out of North Carolina, which is working on a some kind of like a G.I. Joe Snake Eyes type of game that apparently Ayub has called Not Your Daddy's G.I. Joe. We'll see what that means later on, I guess. There is also Invoke Studios, which is based out of Montreal, Quebec. They're currently working on a new Dungeons and Dragons game. I'm really excited about that. And then there's also a company called Skeleton Key, which is based out of Austin, Texas. And as the name might suggest, they're going to be working on something spooky. And lastly, there's also another developer based out of Austin, Texas called Archetype, where BioWare veteran and Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic lead designer James Olin is working on a new franchise called Exodus. So, yeah, there's a lot to unpack from that. I was big in Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. I was a big fan of James Olin's work with that. Having Invoke Studios working on a new Dungeons and Dragons game would be great because I know Maverick would like to rage.
Yes, I would.
G.I. Joe, I mean, I really haven't watched the show probably since the cartoons. I wasn't really a big fan of the movies, That's a whole other that's a whole other can of worms. But to see a GI Joe game possibly make a return to PC and consoles, that one kind of excites me a bit too. Doing something spooky, not really my cup of tea.
So first of all, when it comes to the Dungeons and Dragons game, I'm a little concerned about it
Mhm.
because I feel like they're trying to capture lightning in a bottle after Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
I got a feeling we're going to be in for disappointment with that one now that Larian's not involved.
Mhm.
Snake Eyes is I got a feeling it's going to be bloody. I mean, that falls in line with that character a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
he doesn't have a lot to really say, but I mean, his actions always speak better than words, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And Exodus is the one that Matthew McConaughey has been involved with. So
I
that's that
thought that was the
space
one
travel
Right.
one.
Excuse me.
with the telekinetic pig,
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
because Rock was talking that one up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm very excited for Exodus.
Same.
So give me. But for everything else, like the Dungeons and Dragons makes me a little concerned. Snake Eyes, I'm very interested to see what direction they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely understand the concern about Larian Studios not being involved with the Dungeons and Dragons project. I mean, yeah, I mean, especially, I think Baldur's Gate kind of spoiled us in the D&D department. I think they really did. So trying to follow that up with another D&D game is going to be a very big set of shoes to fill.
Mhm.
Especially,
Monumental.
especially when with Larian saying, they're not gonna be adding really anything more to Baldur's Gate 3, which is a huge disappointment to me because I think there's all kinds of room for stuff that they could be doing
Just
in
give
that
me a
game.
Goliath. Give me a Goliath, and I'll happily go away.
Any excuse to rage. That's your big thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, so I mean, yeah, like it's hard to say where any of this is going to go. Maybe like I said, with the showcase season is here, so we could be seeing a lot more of these titles come sooner rather than later. I'm not really expecting it to, but we'll kind of see what happens with the upcoming showcase season. So with that is the last article that we've got for the day here. So, any final thoughts on everything that we've talked about here, gentlemen?
No, none for me.
I'm just excited to see what ends up happening with showcase season.
Yeah, same.
With So we kind of touched base on it a little bit right now. The PlayStation State of Play is rumored for next week. And I think we've kind of gone over a little bit about what we're going to potentially see. I think we're going to see Silent Hill 2 get a release date. I'm hoping that we get a summer release because as of right now, it sounds like the summer is going to be when I do have a chance to game. It's going to be a great time to work on my backlog list, which, as everybody knows, is very lengthy. Um, and but I mean, it might also give me an excuse to get out and enjoy the weather a little bit more and get
Yeah.
myself away from the TV a little bit too. I think that this year. So
Yeah, I
I'm
know we
okay
gamers
with
have
there
to go
not.
out and touch grass.
Yeah, I mean, I had a coworker say, "Go outside and do something outside." I was like, "I'll tell you what, I'll game with the window open." Um,
Here, let me
They
just bring
make
my
portable
Steam
games,
Deck
man.
out there.
yeah, but I mean, summer's always a bit of a slower time. But I'm hoping that there's something to kind of at least, you know, fill the gap in a little bit. Not something really long or really in depth. Maybe something fun that you can drop in and out of. But who knows what's going to happen with these release dates? I'm excited. I'm very excited for Silent Hill 2. I'm going to try to stream that one when that one comes out. But we'll see what happens. I've been kind of faltering on my streams a little bit myself too, but Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm very excited with the the showcase season coming up.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so in our closing here, let's just go quickly get everyone's not so much thoughts, but what are we doing? What's called coming up for us? Maverick, what do you got coming up for streams here?
Well, actually, I just dropped my review of Stellar Blade this morning, as of the 8th here of May. So I focused more on that. Um, I'm gonna plan a stream for Hellblade 2. I haven't been doing a lot of streaming right now. There's been quite a little bit that's come up with family related and work related. It's just been kind of a little nuts. Um, and then my prime game time is like 5 o'clock in the morning, so I'm a little crazy when it comes to that. So
Just a little.
I'm hoping to get a little bit more streaming in, but Hellblade 2 will definitely be on the list. And I've got a review up for that. I've got a couple movies that I'll be checking out here in the next little while that I'm hoping to get reviews out on as well. So I know that we're not really movie guys here on the pod, but you can expect a review for Fall Guys next week on the new Geek Corner. But I will also be posting when and if I'm going to be streaming on that page as well. So keep your eyes open there, and I'll make sure to tag the Level 1 Lounge to make sure you guys are kept in the loop there too.
Perfect. Irishman Rob, what can people expect to see coming up on your YouTube channel?
Well, coming up on the YouTube channel, Mondays and Fridays, got Mod Mondays, where I'm still going through the mod of Doki Doki Literature Club called Window to Your Heart. Had a really tough time with this past Monday, or Tuesday, I guess, is when I posted it, but really tough time at the end of that one. But if you watch the video, you know why. As of the recording of this video, I posted my first playthrough of Helldivers 2 during the tutorial. That was fun. But I don't know if I'm going to be posting it on my channel because there was a lot of stalling of my camera when I was recording that. But I don't know,
Fair
maybe
enough.
I'll work something out. Still playing through on Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered on Fridays. Having fun with that. Gonna clean up a couple things. Gonna go back and get my level 4 magic for my black mage and my white mage because I didn't get that. But in the last episode, we defeated the Fiend of Fire, so we gotta go
Nice.
through with that. Other for upcoming things, I'm still working on the script for my review for the movie The Last Samurai. I'm still working on the script for my deep dive into the character of Tifa Lockhart. I've actually decided I wanted to get that up by last Friday for her birthday, but I decided since I'm reading Tales of Two Pasts, I'm going to finish the Tifa chapter before I continue on with the script for that, but I should be getting that out sometime soon, within the next 2 months or so. And I just hit 300 subscribers on my YouTube channel. So that means
Hey,
Congratulations, that's awesome.
that means I'm going to be releasing the audiobook version of my novel Shade Falling before the end of the year.
awesome. I'm looking forward to that one.
So
And no, that's perfect. No, congrats on that big milestone, man. And that's really really awesome to hear. So as for myself, I'm still streaming whenever I can. Unfortunately, with my new job, my streaming schedule might become a bit more sporadic. Obviously, I've also been dealing with some family emergency stuff lately, so I haven't streamed quite as much. But when you do catch me live over on Twitch, you will see me playing kind of a mix of things. I've been working on the hard mode playthrough for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Yesterday, I was able to stream with the Level 1 Lounge crew, playing some Helldivers 2, where Irish Bandit Rob got to learn firsthand what a danger hug is all about.
damn you, Chewie.
Yeah, no, that was hilarious. I've got the clip for it over on my Twitch channel. Thank you, Rob, by the way, for clipping
You
that.
betcha. I
So yeah, if you guys
went
want to
back
see it, you
afterwards and got that.
can.
I
So yeah, if you
had
get
a very similar angle with my mech, and I just sat back going, I'm going to see skulls in a second. I'm just going to pop the popcorn and watch.
yeah, Hellbomb goes up.
And so did we.
Yeah.
I think that's Rob's arm.
Yeah. So yeah, so you can still catch me over on my Twitch channel. You can also in any of my additional content, you can also follow me over on YouTube. But Twitch will kind of be my primary focus. Helldivers, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, finishing the hard mode of that. I'll probably go back and start working on my platinum run through Dragon Quest XI. And then there's going to be some new stuff probably upcoming throughout the year. Obviously, there is the new mana game that's going to be coming up. I'm definitely looking forward to that. Beyond that, yeah, it's hard to say for sure what'll be on the menu, but
I would love to get God of War Ragnarok into your hands for you to get into that game.
I'll keep an eye on PlayStation Plus for that one too. We'll see what happens. But yeah, if it does come out on PlayStation Plus, chances are pretty good. I'll probably give it a go. But in any case, that is going to do it for us. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. Like I said, you can follow us on all of our social media outlets, as well as our streaming channels. You can find all that information right down below in the description. So you can catch us all at those particular links. Make sure you do like and subscribe as well, and leave us a comment down below. What are you looking most forward to this year when it comes to games? Is it going to be Sony? Is it something Xbox? Is it something Nintendo? Let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you in the community on what you guys are looking forward to. So, with that being said, it is time to put the controllers down. It's time to power off the system, and it's time to sign off for the night. So, we will see you guys whatever happens to bring us next week, whether it be just a regular podcast or maybe, who knows, there might be that state of play that might be coming here. So for Agent Maverick 86 and for Irish Bandit Rob, I am Pride 639. Thank you all very, very much for tuning in. We'll see you on the next level. Take care.